It was a cold, cloudy afternoon. A taxi driver was looking for passengers. The streets were empty, and the wind howled like a crying ghost. Suddenly, near a closed shop, he saw a man standing alone on the footpath. The man was tall, wearing a long coat and a cowboy hat. His head was slightly bent down, and his face was not visible. Something about him felt strange, but the driver still stopped the car and rolled down the window. "Do you need a ride?" the driver asked. The man said nothing. He slowly opened the door and sat in the back seat. In a deep, hollow voice, he whispered, "Take me to the vegetable market." The driver felt uneasy, but he started driving. The sky turned darker. Thunder rumbled like a monster growling in the clouds. Heavy raindrops hit the windshield. The streetlights flickered. As the driver glanced at the rearview mirror, his hands went cold. The man's face was wrapped in white tapes, covering everything except his eyes. His fingers were stiff, his body unmoving, and his breath made no sound. He looked unnatural. Fear crawled up the driver's spine. His hands started shaking. His mind felt heavy, as if something was controlling him. The humming sound started, low at first, then growing louder. It was coming from the passenger, a strange, eerie melody. It wasn't human. It was a spell. The world around him changed. The thunder roared louder. The car seemed to move on its own. The road stretched endlessly. His heart pounded so fast that it hurt. The cold afternoon felt hotter than a summer noon. And then, silence. The driver suddenly came to his senses. It was as if the passenger's spell broke. He was no longer on the city streets. His taxi stood in front of an old abandoned villa. The windows of the house were broken. The trees around it were dead. Crows sat on the roof, staring at him like they were waiting for something. "How did I get here?" His breath came in short gasps. He had only been driving for a few minutes. How did hours pass in an instant? Then, a scream. A girl's voice echoed from inside the villa. Long, sharp, and painful. The taxi shook violently. The lights inside the car flickered. The doors locked on their own. The driver tried to open them. They wouldn't budge. He banged on the window, screaming for help. But there was no one. Only the crows. Only the villa. Then, silence again. His hands trembled as he turned back to look at the passenger. The seat was empty, but something was left behind. A small, crumpled paper. His heart thudded as he picked it up with shaky fingers. It had a list of names. He read them one by one. Every name was crossed out. His own name was at the bottom, not crossed out. The car shook again. The radio turned on by itself. A news reporter's voice filled the air. "Breaking news. A taxi driver was found dead in a car accident near the vegetable market. His face is unrecognizable. The car number is INV 999. If anyone knows a taxi driver missing, please come to the city hospital." The driver's mouth fell open. INV 999 was his car. That's me," he whispered. A slow, cold breath touched his neck. A voice from the villa whispered his name. And then, darkness. The taxi driver faded in the air. The crows screamed and flew into the sky. The trees stood still. The air turned silent. And the taxi? It stood alone in front of the villa, empty, waiting for its next passenger. Henna stood at the side of the road shivering. The cold wind whispered through the empty streets. She wrapped her arms around herself, waiting for a taxi. Far away, two glowing lights appeared. A car was coming. She waved. The car slowed down. As it got closer, she saw it was a taxi. She leaned forward to ask the driver if he would take her home. But the driver didn't speak. He just unlocked the back door. Click. That small sound made her heart jump. Something felt wrong. The driver's face was blank, his eyes dark and lifeless. The cold air around her felt even colder. She had no choice. Slowly, she stepped inside. The taxi smelled strange. A thick, rotten smell, like something old, something dead. Henna glanced at the mirror. The driver was wearing a half-face mask through which his mouth was visible. A black mask, with red stains on it. Her hands turned cold. Her throat felt dry. Then she saw something else. In the seat pouch, right in front of her, was an axe. A large, double-sided axe. The metal was dark and old. Her heartbeat became loud. She looked around. The back seat was torn. Scratches covered the car doors. She touched the handle, but it felt stiff, locked from the driver's side. The rotten smell grew stronger. It was coming from the trunk. Then, a police checkpoint. Henna's heart filled with hope. A policeman walked to the window, shining his flashlight inside. "Sorry, ma'am. There are 5 missing children in town. We are checking every car." The driver smiled slightly, a strange, cold smile. The policeman nodded and stepped back. "You may go." Henna wanted to scream, to beg for help, but before she could, the taxi started moving again, and this time, it was going the wrong way. The road was empty. No houses, no people, just darkness. Henna's hands shook. "You're going the wrong way," she whispered. The driver didn't answer. "Stop the car," she said louder. Still silence. Then he did something terrifying. He turned and nodded. But as he turned, the streetlight flashed inside the car, and Henna saw it. The axe. It was now covered in fresh blood. Her stomach twisted. Her breath became fast and short. She knew. Something was very, very wrong. The driver's fingers tapped the steering wheel, slowly, calmly, as if he was waiting for the perfect moment. Then, the car slowed down. It stopped. The driver reached under his seat. Henna held her breath. He pulled out another axe, a sharp, heavy axe. He turned his head slightly and stared at her through the mirror. His black mask still covered his face, but Henna could feel his twisted smile. She screamed. She kicked the door. Bang, bang! The door burst open. Henna ran. She ran as fast as she could, but her legs felt weak. Her body was cold with terror. Behind her, footsteps. Slow, heavy, closer. She tripped, fell hard. Pain shot through her hands. She turned. The driver was standing over her. His shadow stretched long in the moonlight. He lifted the axe and whispered, "You should go where the children are going." "To the grave." Henna gasped. She crawled backward, begging, crying. "Please, please, leave me alone." Bang! A gunshot. The driver's body jerked. Blood sprayed on the ground. Police. They tackled him, pinning him to the dirt. Henna lay frozen, her heart still racing. A policeman ran to the trunk and opened it. Inside, 5 children. They were curled up, fast asleep. A dead wolf lay beside them. The truth was more horrifying than Henna could imagine. The driver was a man seeking revenge. The parents of the children had killed his wolf when it attacked them, and now he wanted to bury their children forever. Lana opened her eyes. She was lying in a small, dark space. Her head hurt. She looked around. She was inside. A taxi. Lana worked at a small restaurant. That night, she got very late because of New Year's customers. It was 2 o'clock. The streets were empty. Everything was dark. She stood alone under a streetlight, holding her bag. Then a taxi stopped in front of her. The car looked very new. The driver smiled and told her to get in. At first, the ride felt normal. They laughed and talked about New Year's plans. But soon, dark clouds filled the sky. Thunder hit loudly. Rain started pouring. The roads became silent. Suddenly, the taxi stopped. Everything went quiet. Around them, there were only old buildings, broken, dark, and empty. The taxi lights blinked and died. The driver said, "The engine stopped. Wait here, or you can sit there." He pointed to a building with a half-open door. Lana looked at the door. It was slightly moving. As lightning flashed in the sky, for a second she saw something inside, like a shadow moving. Her heart started beating fast. She took one step closer to the door. A strange voice whispered her name. "Liana." She reached for the knob. As soon as she touched it, boom! Thunder cracked. The door opened wide by itself. Inside it was empty, but she felt like something was watching her. Scared, Lana ran back to the taxi. But when she saw the driver, he was doing something strange. He quickly hit a small bottle and gave her a weird smile. His eyes looked cold. She got back inside, wet and shaking. The driver said, "Let's take the longer road. It's safer." Lana nodded, but her hands were sweating. Something felt wrong. As the car moved, she began to feel sleepy. Very sleepy. Her eyes got heavy. Her head dropped. Everything went dark. Hours passed. The sun came up. Lana opened her eyes again. still inside the taxi. But something felt different. Her side hurt, badly. She looked down. Blood. She pulled up her shirt. There was a cut on her side, stitched up. She screamed. Her kidney was gone. The taxi was empty now. No driver, just a cold seat, and her scream echoing in the empty road.